My name is Ishita Arora, and I am going to speak in favor of the motion. This House supports nationalism. Let's start with what nationalism is. Nationalism is the belief of the strength and power of the nation, and it exists when people in a nation associate to the interests of their nation. I'm going to talk about 2 points in my speech. Firstly, why is nationalism superior to other unifying mechanisms like caste, religion, ethnicity, etc.? And secondly, why is nationalism the best way to provide for the growth of the population? We all recognize the need of a unifying mechanism. For two people to live and work together harmoniously, it is essential to have some common interests and goals. Belongingness to a particular community is essential for the society to evolve as a whole. While I recognize that alternate mechanisms like religion, caste, class, ethnicity do provide for some advantages of collectiveness, nationalism provides for more. Cooperation, or at the least tolerance, is essential for the society to grow. And in countries like India, which are diverse, where there are so many religious, ethnic groups, the only way they can grow together is when they subscribe to values of a unifying mechanism which is not limited to their religion, caste, etc. Nationalism provides for a unifying factor that surpasses the corrosiveness brought about by these differentiating factors. We have seen that in the status quo, there are innumerable riots and conflicts caused by the different religious groups and the caste groups. And the only way to overcome these conflicts is the existence of a more supreme unifying mechanism, which is belongingness to that nation. I would say it is the easiest for two radical sects of people to live harmoniously when they recognize that they have something in common and that they do belong to the same nation and therefore they have some responsibilities towards it. I also believe that nationalism is more inclusive as a unifying mechanism. Now, that's because it's not as rigid as other mechanisms that we've talked about, like religion or caste or ethnicity. It allows people to choose their way, their intensity, and their mechanism of having this feeling of nationalism and working for their nation. Now, someone might choose to lose their life while protecting their nation, while the other one might just want to express his nationalism simply by voting for the correct policymaker or speaking up against something which is wrong for the nation. And hence, I believe it's more inclusive. It allows people to be a part of it more easily, and it's more conducive as a force to unite people. Now, the second part of my speech. Now, we do believe that for the progress of the society, growth of people is essential. Now, we cannot deny the fact that for this growth, we require sacrifice at multiple levels. Now, whether it is fighting a war or it is public service, there needs to be some other motivating factor than my pay or material things for which I choose to make this sacrifice. Now, I believe that nationalism has the power to demand this sacrifice. A soldier will lose his life for his nation. That's because he feels for his nation strongly. Now, a scientist has an additional motivation other than the personal satisfaction that he is going to gain after inventing something. Now, this additional motivation is that he has to make his nation proud. I believe that for every profession that exists, nationalism acts as a boost and it makes people work more efficiently and hence is the best way for the society to grow. Lastly, nationalism is derived from the people. Now, opposing thoughts or people might just talk about how nationalism is a tool for politicians to assert their thoughts or it's a barrier for people to present opposing thoughts, but I disagree. I believe all these are attributes of a country which does not have nationalism as its central thought. Only if people are aware about the interests of their nation and feel for their nation is when they will have the power to not get influenced by politicians, and only then will they provide opposition thoughts, will they speak up for what's wrong. A fully functioning nationalist state will always see its people work towards the growth of their nation and hence very, very proud to propose.
My name is Ritik Arora, and today I'll be presenting my views against the topic that this House supports nationalism. So, I concede to the fact that nationalism is a strong force to begin with, but as strongly as it can unify a society, even strongly it can tear it apart. So, let's understand that how a nationalistic society looks like or how it has existing it has existed in past. So in a nationalistic country, people do not decide what it means to be nationalistic, or what nationalism actually means, because it is a top down approach and comes from the authorities or from the people in power, that these are the true nationalistic sentiments and these are the things which society has to buy to be called nationalistic. Because it is not because these rules or these nationalistic sentiments are not formulated by the people or by the society, but these kind of decisions come from top to down and have to be abided by the society and by the people. So the idea of right or idealistic uh, nationalistic sentiments is still a utopia, because if you believe that the idea of nationalism is that we all have only one thing in common, that is our single nation, and there is no discrimination and everyone stands equally and strongly, why this is still a utopia? Because bringing such kind of nationalism in status quo is neither in interest of the political parties who are in power to do so, neither it is in their best capacity to do so. So even if I buy into the fact that nationalism is the best possible way of bringing unification in the society, and it's the best commonality which can exist, and it might overcome other factors which exist in the society, like religion, class or caste, on which people are differentiated, I still do not feel that it will be able to replace these particular factors. That is to say that now these factors will still exist subliminally in the minds of people and in the minds of society, but now these biases will be reflected in the policy making, and these factors will be the ones which will decide that what it means to be nationalistic. So now how it is tearing society apart is because now democracy has lost its basic essence. A, first, right to choose for your own self, and secondly, now I do not have ability to present my dissent in the democracy, because for a progressive policy making, presence of dissent is at most necessary. But now when the society is becoming much more regressive in nature, the ability of individual to present dissent or to present contradictory view is not present in this particular case, because he or she might be called anti-national for doing so, and any injustice towards a persecuted minority or towards any individual can now be justified in the name of national interest. So now the kind of morality which people should follow, or the moral framework or the basic moral framework which people have, is also constructed by the state itself. So I believe that because the idea of what are the true nationalistic sentiments is being hijacked by the people in power, and it is at no point in time in the power of in the hand, and at no point in time the power is in the hand of people, that what it means to be nationalistic. I believe that in these particular scenarios, state becomes much more coercive as it is in the status quo, and it literally tells that what is the right way to live your life, and can clearly go ahead and justify any discriminatory behavior in the name of national interest. Secondarily, I believe that the idea of nationalism is ambiguous to begin with, because it is about the affection towards your country or towards your nation, because there are multiple expressions of affections, right? So there might be a conception of affection, that how better are you able to economically contribute towards your nation, or how physically you are able to contribute towards your nation. I do not feel like each and every individual is in power, or this kind of idea of nationalism is accessible to citizens to begin with. So moving towards the end of my speech, I do love my country, and I can contribute to it in my best capacity, but I won't blindly go ahead and follow whatever my country wants me to believe in. So I still will have my own consciousness, and I still can be called patriotic, even if I am not nationalistic. Okay, so with that, I proudly, very very proud.